Word up! Welcome to the second semi-final of the Word Up Poetry Slam organized by the Hunter J. Fuswa Library at the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. The first semi-finals saw 8 poets from various units at the college bring on their A game, and they set the bar high.
Just breathe, you say. The four walls mock me as they inch closer and closer. It's all right. You'll be fine. It's going to be okay. Yet my body rejects those words like a bad odor. You shove these lies along with pills down my throat to keep me calm. Instead,
my dear brown-skinned girl, my sweet cocoa twin, do you know from head to toe, like the sun, melanin shines bright through your skin? Do you know it is that melanin, your pure heart of gold, thick chocolate lips, your clouds of apple?
One thing about me, I love my birds. Sometimes I give them my word that I might not add another bird. But as I see it, my cage is infinite, enough space for every bird to fit, to meet, to eat, and sometimes compete. Elections are fierce, with some Disney pairs, others equipped with shares, hearing news of affairs. My job is to calm the fear, which I handle with so much care.
It was supposed to be a run-of-the-mill Saturday night. Netflix plus comfort plus the breeze of my fan equals heaven. A rush drives my fingers as I sign in, only to be rejected with incorrect password. A churning in my stomach, a truth too hard to swallow. No, you couldn't do something like this. You're my brother.
There she stands, eyebrows arched, arms crossed, decked out in robes of hubris. And here I am, gazing at her from a distance. I can feel the vibrations of her repelling glare, willing intimidation and fear. But fear is only false evidence appearing real, and so I approach. I am ready to face the wrath of a Goliath.
I sit at drunk in fear as I write, while potential outcomes dance in my mind. Every part of me prays, Father, that you will understand that this young man is still your blood, and nothing can replace that. Before, you knew that I did not want to go, but karma slapped me so hard that I now call this place home. It all began when I landed on site. There, I saw a color palette come to life.
Conversations in the dark have the tendency to spark relationships so deep that we lose even our will to sleep. Quicker than we lose our appetite when our life is blown apart like dynamite. Even faster than we lose our creativity when put in the face of adversity. And as our words wander to each other under the cover of the night, we succumb to this trance-like love without fright. Tireless conversation.
As I gaze at the glistening ocean, I wear fascination like a crown, recalling these cheerful times in my infant years when mother baked those decadent, luscious chocolate chip cookies that melted on my tongue. The buttery taste that lingered from those chocolate chips, how those crumbs slid down my lips. The aromatic scent of roasted nuts.
Today we meet the additional 8 poets from the slate of 16 vying for the finals, which are slated for Nobel Laureate Festival in January. I am Natalie Julie Fanis, your co-host for today. And just in case you're wondering who's behind me, this is actually Hunter J. Fuswa, who the library is named after. Hunter J. Fuswa, as the Minister of Education, was instrumental in establishing the Sir Arthur Lewis Community College. You can learn more about the life and achievements of Hunter J. Fuswa by visiting the library page on the college's website salcc.edu.lc. If by chance you missed the first edition of our Poetry Slam, you can view it on the college's YouTube and Facebook pages. In our previous showing, Hunter J. Faswar librarian Mrs. Kathy Birch McDiarmid spoke to the background of the Poetry Slam, the library's mandate to promote literacy. The inaugural competition took place in 2011, and after a 5-year hiatus, it's back with the support of the artists in our community. And at this point, I'd like to recognize the coaches who worked with our 16 poets: Ms. Drenia Frederick, Ms. Jessie Leonce, Ms. Catherine Atkinson, Mr. Adrian Auger, Ms. Naomi Grandison, Ms. Lisa Dublin, and Mr. Stan Bishop. We really want to thank them for the time they spent with our poets. And now we welcome back our judges who have the tough task of deciding who the 8 finalists will be. Welcome back to Ms. Gemma Weeks, Mr. Royston Emmanuel, Ms. Valerie Rages, and Ms. Marcel Lewis. And today we have a replacement for Mr. Shane Sherry, who was unfortunately unable to be here today. And we are so happy to have Ms. Monique Auguste, our alumna, back with us here at the college, serving as our judge. So thank you, judges, so much for being here. And what are the judges looking for? Let's just go very quickly and remind you of the judging criteria so you think about what they have to evaluate as they listen to the poets. And you can do your own judging at home. So here, stage presence, communication, use of body. They're not allowed to use any props. It's just about them. Vocal quality, clarity, audibility of voice, articulation, enunciation, fluency, modulation and projection. Third criteria, delivery and interpretation of the poem. And that has to do with the memorization and the knowledge of the poem, and also their comprehension and emphasis. And the final criteria is the complexity of the poem. The theme, the messaging must be clearly expressed. And the flow of the poem also to include their use of literary devices, their diction, syntax, meter, and rhyme. So all of these, the judges will be looking at. And so we are ready to go. Our poets are in waiting, and to introduce them, my co-host, Miss Cantilia Louis.
Thank you, Natalie. And now we start off with our first poet, Miss Emmy Dilsuk. She is a second-year student from the Department of Digital Humanities, New Media and Creative Industries. And Emmy's poem is entitled End of the Beginning.
End of the beginning. It was fun at first. Laughing, dancing, singing, going out together. All that made me think our family was going to last forever. We would play card games when the weather was unpleasant. The candlelight in the living room, omnipresent. Sunflowers would bloom amongst the sea of smiles, a radiant glow which could be seen for miles. At the beach, we would build sand castles, pretending we were at battle. But then my asthma would act up. It would attack. No worries, Daddy's got my back. Then I would be fine. Fine. Everything was fine, you see. That was until Daddy began to make his work a priority. He would come home at 10 o'clock in the night. The marital dispute from the kitchen shook the sunflower stem in fright, quarreling because he reached home midnight and, have you forgotten that you have a wife? The sunflowers, which once bloomed amongst the sea of smiles, now bowed their heads from words revile. They were eaten up with hatred. An indescribable emptiness filled me with dread. I was grasping onto something, anything, to keep up my head. My roots were thinning, my family tree dying, dead. The sunflowers were turning brown, starting to wither away. With heads bowed and stems bent, they prayed for the light of day. Neither of them could take it anymore. It was time to end this hopeless war, so what happened next? You can guess. They filed for divorce. If only Daddy had fixed his job, not working over hours. Stop at the florist to buy Mommy some flowers. All Mommy wanted was for him to show her love. But he poured his love into his job, so lack of love there was. The inevitable separation tore out my roots. Half went north with Mommy, the rest Daddy took. I was transplanted with Mommy, far, far away, a place where no one there knows the light of day. The once radiant sunflowers that grew to bend their heads need not bend their heads any longer, for all of them were dead. Thank you.
Wow, that was an interesting poem. I have to say now I feel for flowers, yes, sunflowers, because of this poem. Has me a little sad, but I understand where she's coming from. Thank you, Emmy. Our next poet is Hannah Edwin, and Hannah is a year 1 student in our pre-college and CAPE program. And Hannah's poem is entitled, It's Not What It Seems.
Home is many things. It is spirit, it is blood, it is a place, a safe space filled with liberty, where stories are told within walls, graced with keepsakes chosen with care. It is summer song, feeling we belong, an atmosphere we can share wherever we are, anywhere. In my home, there is a whole country, a nation of people just like you, me. We have dreams, aspirations, hopes, feelings, as constant as changing winds. I have tried to hold on to my home. But what can I do when my home tells me no longer a safe space to go? For my home has been exposed to the darkness of corruption, the obscurity of dishonesty, and dictatorship has destroyed the walls of democracy with its autocracy. And my people have cried out, and cried out, and cried out, till the drums of war have drowned our shouts, and I feel like I'm in a hole where oppression churns me up, spits me out, destroys my pride with doubt. So, in the hope of new dawns, like comrades before me, I cast my eyes beyond my horizon to that shining city on a hill, where Lady Liberty stands triumphantly, mother of exiles, waving worldwide welcome from her beacon hand, beckoning with promise the American dreamland. So, I turn to that land, the land of the free, where equality and justice are supposed to exist. Yes, the land of the free, a whole system still built on mental captivity, theft, and treachery. Founding fathers who detribalized too many societies, bearing no accountability, disregarding their responsibility, ignoring their liability, Columbusing hemispheres of history. Despite all that, I run. I run till my legs are rubber, till my breath gives out, till my body goes numb. I run to Mother Liberty. I run to her arms. Any place better than home, any place better than that dark hole. I run for opportunity, for friends, for family. I run for my children. I run for me. Yet Lady Liberty greets me with agony, separation anxiety. Liberty, I am not just another lost soul. Why send me back to that dark hole of despair? I harbor that passion for freedom in my heart as you hold in your hand. Why shut me out? Why tear me apart? Aren't you that land, the land of the free, flooded with liberty, luck, and impossible bounty? Do your welcoming hands not apply to me? Give me my chance to prove I am worth it, that I can do something, that I will be something, that I can build home anew with liberty, red, white, and blue. Mother Liberty, please, don't lie to me. Do not be what you seem not to be.
Wow, I have to say, Hannah, that whole idea of home, what did you say? Stories told in walls. Very interesting imagery. Has me thinking. Our next poet is Nataki Florentville. And Nataki is a year 2 student in the associate degree in biology program, and that's from our science department. And Nataki's poem is entitled Her.
Help me! Help me! She hopelessly cries internally. She's stuck in a world overruled by masculinity, looked down upon like a washed up old gray coin. There is nothing she could do. Just stop already, they say. You're being annoying. Alone and deserted, her soul sleeps in agony, abandoned by the one she loved after a mind-numbing tragedy, used and then thrown away when pleasure was gained successfully. She has no one by her side. She wallows in the shadows, shivering like an abandoned, helpless baby. She's stuck in a system which refuses to let her be free. Men decided her fate before the tender age of 3. No woman can overrule the king's absolute decree. Do you know why? It's because they lack the most important key. It's knowledge, obviously. What? Don't look at me. I'm only here to tell her story. Knowledge is key. It gives you the strength, the power, and the determination to be set free. Oh, how she lacked that identity, stripped down like a skinless animal from birth by a man she called Daddy. The cold air nipped at her exposure while it seeped into her blemished skin. The thumping of the wall always sounds like someone is trying to get in. The neighbors pretend that it's all a part of a broadcasted movie scene. A blind item by insiders and outsiders on a girl closer to death than anyone has seen. Thump! Crash! Crash! Thump! The beat of the unorganized orchestra displayed on her chocolate melanin bump. Shh! That secret was stilled by a magic pill. Caged like a feral and infected animal, tossed to the wind when his meter got filled. Ha ha ha, Lord! Tiny humans dance and grin, laughing at her unfortunate blessing. Daddy, why? She
painfully screams, "My beautiful harlot, Daddy wants you to sing." As though shut, like in the presence of a demonic human being. On trembling legs, she madly dashed across 1,000 scenes. Free is what she fought when she flew over the ravine. Sadly, her fate was cursed from the very beginning, caught before anyone even heard a thing. Rape! She bellowed at the multicolored color scene. Objection! A man with a whale-sized belly preen. Why was it never seen? Harlot! The crowd cheered with glee. Silence all. The defendant is found not guilty. Treading and plowing away from where the eyes can't see. Shame made her become something she never wanted to be. Dreams she had and dreams she lost. Satisfaction he gained at all costs. Soulless, lifeless eyes stare at what used to be a bright young child. Her heart grew cold with every pre-scheduled aggressive hold. She wore an itch burnt into her skin and paraded like a masquerade queen. She had no knowledge. She had a bad name. She never wanted this nerve-wracking, heart-breaking, suicide-inducing fame. This was a girl who never got to learn. All she got was shame, pain, and a demeaning branding burn.
She wallows in the shadows, shivering. Wow. Very intense subjects. And I think because we are now in the days of activism, looking at gender-based violence, according to the United Nations, it really helps us to remember why this time it is important to think about this subject. Our next poet is Quiana Charles, and Quiana is a Year 2 student in our pre-college CAPE program, and her poem is entitled The Trial.
I will get my justice. I will get my justice. The judge calls my name, and now they will hear my case. My heart starts to tremble and my mouth starts to rage. 40 minutes after the defense supported my father's offense. So help me, Father, for I swear on this Bible, this man shall never see old age. How could he control his beast as a man? Did you not see what this temptress had on? Her short shorts which exposed her thighs and her little shirt, leaving her cleavage bare for his eyes. How could you possibly argue that I wanted it? Really? What does this have to do with my body? Does no one care what he did to me? This noble man who had a wife and children, he should be considered sick. But here you are prosecuting the body that God has given me. For you, society ignores the sin that he has imposed on me. How could he? He raped my trust before he even forced himself upon me. And my body had no other choice but to defy me, letting the darkness within him to extinguish the spirit inside me. He ignored my cries for help. My father, the one who is supposed to protect me, as he laid with my naked soul, robbing me of my dignity. All I could have screamed was, Daddy, please, please have mercy on me. I am your daughter and you are supposed to love me. He tainted all of my warm memories. All that remains are the ones of his drunken slurs. And now I'm left with a feeling of discontent, hanging on to the cliff of life because my silence, my clothes, and my body permitted him to come in. Forgive me. I shouldn't be surprised because women's rights to their bodies is nothing. Men were born from the Genesis, and from there I learned a man shall have everything. But I loved him as a father, not as a man. He didn't see me as a daughter, only a tool in his self-serving affair. He treated me like a prostitute, ravaging my body. My sacred virginity was his only care. Dare you argue that he had no idea what he was doing? This cheater, this liar, this self-serving rapist. Give me back my childhood, my innocence. Give me back my childhood, my confidence. I beg you, Judge. This is my only plea, for I have nobody. For I was crucified by the Judas who gave birth to me. As she sits next to this man who has ruined me. He raped me, I cried. He abused me, I exclaimed. But none of that mattered to her. None of that mattered to my mother. Because the sensation he gave between her thighs was worth her daughter's cries. Forgive me, Judge. For I know what your verdict may be. For my curvaceous hips, my well-endowed chest was enough permission. It was enough permission for this pedophile to violate me. But as you see, he took away the innocence that belonged to me. But he will never be able to take away my womanhood. Neither he nor society can damage me. This is for all the women who can relate. You will get your justice. You will get your justice.
Again, another very powerful poem, again looking at the same kind of topic, and we see these poets using their craft to help us to understand some of the social issues, especially the gender-based violence against women. And thank you so much for that poem. Now we have one of our coaches, Stanislaus Bishop. And Stan, thank you so very much for all your assistance with the poets, always ready to assist. Stan is going to perform one of his pieces entitled, Next Time, the First Time.
Now, I can't stand being alone because it leaves me with too much time for poetry. To tell you that I loved you, I never took the time. And that I placed no one above you, girl, I never took the time. See, I was busy being macho half the time. Couldn't see it wasn't easy how I made you pass the time. Yet I found time for the block that I'd never find for you. Couldn't hear there was a ticking clock that pined inside of you. Couldn't see that all you needed was a kiss, a touch, a flower. But your needs, I never heeded. Damn, I wasted every hour. And now, I can't stand being alone. Because it leaves me with too much time for poetry. Time that I could have been taking the time to tell you the things that truly touch that ticking time. One call your heart that I tampered with too much, too often, girl. And now, you're gone. And I'm alone. Hoping you'd at least sell your phone. See, you craved the love I'd never shown, and now your heart has turned to stone. So, next time we meet, be it in dreams or otherwise, it'll be the first time in a long time that I'll take the time with you. Because I just can't stand being alone. Because it leaves me with sleepless nights and way too much time for word up poetry.
All right, Stan, I saw what you did there with the stand and understanding and your use of words and that repetition. That's why you are one of the masters. Thank you so very much, Stan. Our next poet is Calum James, and Calum is a year 2 student in our pre-college CAPE program. And Calum's poem is entitled Masterclass.
A masterclass by the master. Class, let's get to work. So in maths, time for some stats. We have a 16% crime rate. That could be because of the 12.5 rate of VAT, or maybe just that. The country in a state. 17% of people unemployed. Remember the times when you enjoyed the joy of receiving new toys. Think of the boys and girls with dreams of diamonds and pearls, but their parents oppressed by the world. Now, class, we see the relationship between the classed and the outclassed. The X and Y, the jobless, the heartless, and why people will put everything at stake just to see a piece of steak on their plate. Because no matter how hard they try, they will always get defeat. Because financially, they are defeats of the rich. And if any one of y'all have an itch or a twitch, I will effortlessly dismiss y'all like a Chris Gill 6. Y'all think I lie? But how come some people can reach the sky? If love was something money could have buy, the rich would survive and the poor would have died. That was just for any member of Babylon in disguise. Anyways, let's get back to class, guys. Unemployment equals crime rate. VAT feeding the states making rich fellas say checkmate, while we say checkmate, he don't have nothing to put on his plate. Okay, class, that was great. Now we're going straight into language arts. In this session, we will erase the connotation which suggests Creole is only used for aggression. Why? The first Creole words we learn are the curses. Why not one of Cesar Nescat verses? Allow me to give you a glimpse of what Creole is. Y'all ever try to eat a dry rice? Class, I know we can testify. There is no need for a test to find out if a dry rice could be nice. Creole is the sizzling, sensual seasoning that making any meal fulfilling, like fried chicken with a spice. Imagine being able to say, Doudou kagade bel bel bel. Ko a diwiki pa mache sel sel sel. You'd believe only a sweetie look really nice would suffice. Guess I can't say that twice. Doudou kagade bel bel bel. Ko a diwiki pa mache sel sel sel. Bodze. Imagine being able to celebrate the art of your language. Language will then serve as a bandage to nurse the wounds from those savages of the ages. And as I say savages, time for your history lesson. Y'all believe Christopher discovered? Y'all feel admiration for Admiral Rodney? Well, check how easy we'll break down the mystery. Why do you think black people living in misery? Of course, we are products of our history. The white man waltz into the Amerindian land, like an intruder jumping into a carnival band. Take the African and say, look, give everybody who say no a juke and brand all slaves after names in the Holy Book. In the name of Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Come on. Now let me drop the bomb. You don't think that's wrong? Black people perceived as just stupid and strong compared to King Kong. All we can do is sing redemption song because young black men don't have the culture to live long, while whites surrounded among acres of stolen agriculture. Here how they come to conquer. They brainwash the Africans and wash their hands clean like Christians. They call us stupid Negroes, like the hair on their stupid Negroes differently. Preaching about white God, because they wanted white supremacy. Let's understand our story. We stopped playing a long time ago. We not no toys in no Toy Story, and still they don't have the grace to tell us sorry. Okay, class, that was the bell. Thank you for being so attentive. The main objective of today was to win at life by transforming our knowledge to liberate our dreams. we've come to the end of this master class. By the master. Class?
Oh boy, I got a whole day of school in that poem. I got mathematics, language, arts, and history. I'm feeling very much educated today. Thank you so much, Mr. James. We now have Mr. Joanil Matthias, and he is a Year 2 student of our Agri-Entrepreneurship and Climate Smart Agricultural Program. And his poem is entitled Critique.
Seeking reinvention. Like Dove, it's too funny how when you look at yourself, it creates so much tension. Not to mention, life is irrefutably unfair. Like the color of my skin. Dark, rich, like the blood within. I lost myself to self-inflicted emotional trauma. I lost all hope. My only way to cope was with worries. I worried so much for so long. It became a sixth sense. Left in my pocket only 6 cents and inspired me to get rid of that 6 cents of mediocrity. Of course it was tough. Finding myself was like finding Dory. Even Nemo could not rebuild the missing gaps in my story. But you see, change begins with you. For me, it was an apology because I lied to people important to me. Awaited the return subconsciously, then brushed it off because it wasn't meant to be. Quite. Tell me if you ask me. But they were indeed gone, and I guess I still had some fun. But it still feels like I'm living life on the run from myself, my emotions, my heart, and my true self. I just wanted to be heard and not told that my brilliant ideas are absurd. I needed an adventure to find me, kind of like Dory or Dora, because I needed to explore the possibility of change in myself and in this world where hopes are crushed by voices and dreams unfold. So like me, believe in yourself, be confident. One day, you'll find yourself.
Worry for so long, it's become a sixth sense. Okay, I'm going to be using that line. Wonderful poem. Makes me really think. I'm sure it made you think as well. We now have Miss Taya Ishmael, and she is a student in the Digital Humanities, New Media and Creative Industries Department, a Year 1 student. And her poem is entitled, Who is she?
Who is she? I can't remember her name, but I remember when she just came. For my once bright world had become so dull. She didn't just appear like the morning sun. She crept on me like a snake in the shadows. She emerged with time, like a bucket being filled with droplets of water that now feels like an ever-flowing stream. She planted a seed so she can grow. She was no beautiful blossom, but like a sore that won't heal. I remember the chokehold she had on me. Suffocation is what I felt as her vines of deceit wrapped around me. Breathing slowly became faint. Her vines poisoned me, darkening my very existence. I remember it all. My vision, which was so clear, was now tainted in hate. Caused me to question myself, my identity, my existence. How she drained my temple, eliminating everything. No energy, just a void. Who is she? Yes, you. Who are you? And how do you have such control over me, like weeds spreading through a field? How can you make me feel so much and yet nothing at all? I even began to doubt my sanity, because now I was a soul trapped, fighting for control. I could no longer recognize my reflection. It was like staring at a stranger. Where was that smile, that sparkle in my eyes? You didn't come alone. Your twin sister was always nearby. Your greatest companion. Suicide. That's what you called her. She would sing to me. It was always songs of pity. Her voice called to me, hypnotizing me. And though her voice meant danger, her sound was of God's angels. She was a siren attracting her prey. Her melodies ravaged my thoughts, suffering, self-loathing, disappointment. This was her vocation. Melodies of death. Her songs wrapped their way to my mind, twisting my thoughts, stifling any sane thinking I had left. Crazed is how I felt. I struggled, waltzing her way to her tunes. It felt like the fleet would never end. Maybe it's because I never wanted it to, as thoughts of death seemed to comfort me. Together, you have sent my mind into a frenzy. Hell is no longer a fiery pit, but the mental agony I faced on a daily. Despite all this, you are still the main character in my story. Nobody could take your power. Nobody could make me feel the way you did. So senseless, so worthless, so grim. Breaking free seemed impossible. I wondered how I did it. I wondered how I took the first step. Admission. It created fresh soil so I can regrow. A flower blossoming in the darkness. Finally, a glimmer of hope. It gave me courage, strength to face you on the battlefield. I must admit, you fought a good fight. You had everybody fooled. An imposter trying to be me. But I faced you, going deep within, cutting away at your vines, weakening you to the core. At last, my world doesn't seem so gray. I remember your name now. Depression. Yes, that's your name. That's who you are.
Suicide as a siren. That's innovative. Very interesting poem, deep subject, very well done. And now we have Renkage King, and he is a year 2 student in the Sustainable Business and Tourism program. And his poem is entitled Toxic.
Toxic. At first it was great, the hugs, the kisses, the dates. Her love became his nutrients. He needed her to survive. The effect she had on him was like the moon luring the tides, leading him to believe he needed her more than she needed him. Like leaves clinging to the sun's rays, like the earth's thirst for rain, cueing the overthinking, the nitpicking at small, irrelevant details that meant nothing, yet everything. Like getting dressed too nicely when they went out, craving their attention or the sensation of admiration, would never say, I love you more. Was loving him such a chore? Go play games with your friends, as if he annoyed her to no end. Insecurities arose, and he became irate. Manipulation and abuse became the norm, caging a bird who yearned for freedom. Come, come. She tries to communicate, yet he doesn't listen. Defeated, depreciated, she looks on at the disaster that disrupts her life's cadence. Like a tornado destroying her from within, the more she tries to please, to ease his insecurities, the more he spins the story to fit his own narrative. Things so simple taken way out of proportion, causing constant concern and irritation. Now when she dresses up for date night, she needs to check herself once, twice, sometimes thrice. It was all the bittersweet moments that they shared. She was addicted to the love, oh how sweet, that she ignored the bitter, toxic which consumed her. Like a bird trapped in an open cage, yearning to be free, yet hesitant to take flight. But now she was no longer scared and had exhausted all her tears. So she sat him down and spoke her mind, intending to leave all this strife behind. "What do you want to talk about?" he says. Looking up slowly, she clutches her chest, her heart beating rapidly like the wings of a bird ready to take flight. She felt confident, no trace of fear. "You are a terrible heart concierge." "But I love you." "You love me?" "Yes, I adore you. Your actions make that seem anything but true. And I haven't heard those words in a month or a few. You've interrupted my life's peace. I'm in bondage. I need to be released. I'm tired of this. I can't do it anymore. No need to settle a score. I need to build myself back up from the core. Let us part ways. I need to heal my broken heart, yield my broken wings to soar in love once more.
Heart concierge. Wow. Interesting term. I'm going to put this one down to use at some point in time. Thank you so very much, Mr. King, for your poem. And that's it. 16 wonderful poets. Who is going to make it? We don't know yet, but at this point in time, let us show them a little appreciation.
Okay, guys, so we're now doing the presentation of certificates and gifts for all of the participants. Yes, because they all did very well. So let's just give them a round of applause again. All right, our first poet, Nia Lynch. Melanie Richard. Ethan Cleon. John Tench. Krista Williams. Elijah Monchut. Jade Thomas. Charissa Isidore. Emmy Dilsuk. Hannah Edwin. Nataki Florenville. Quiana Charles. Calum James. Zwanil Matthias. Taya Ismail. Rinkage King. Let's recognize our judges now who have been here with us for the last 2 weeks, and we have a new judge joining us. So let me start with Mrs. Valerie Rages, Miss Gemma Weeks, Miss Marcel Lewis, Miss Monique Auguste, who joined us today. We thank you so much for stepping in. We have 2 of our judges missing. They had other duties to attend to, Mr. Royston Emmanuel and Mr. Shane Sherry, who we will present with their gifts. And we also want to gift our coaches who are here with us today, Mr. Stan Bishop and Miss Naomi Grandison.
And now, the moment we've all been waiting for. Who will move on to the finals? 16 poets, 8 finalists. Miss Gemma Weeks will present the results.
On behalf of all the judges, I'd love to congratulate all the poets on your courage, your talent, your passion, your persistence, and also the humility to take instruction. As I know that all of you had coaches and you worked with them, and it really shone through. I'd love to say that whatever happens, please keep going, even if you're not in the top 8. It was a combination of many factors that we took into consideration in terms of your ability to express your ideas, as well as your writing, your use of rhyme, your use of symbolism. And so it was the people who were able to put all of that together and present it successfully that went through. but some of you had incredible imagery, some of you had incredible presence. So I just hope that all the poets will continue to grow and continue to practice their craft. And I just look forward to great things. There's so much talent here, so I'm incredibly proud, and I know that all the judges are incredibly proud as well. So before I congratulate everyone, I'd just like to say that as you go forward, focus on your stage presence, your vocal quality, your delivery, and your complexity of the poem. Understand the craft as you move forward so that you can really do a great job in the future. So without further ado, the 8 poets who will be going through to the finals are Calum James, John Tench, Krista William, Melanie Richard, Jade Thomas, Rinkage King, Naya Lynch, and Quiana Charles. We wish you the absolute best of luck going forward. Keep working, keep striving, keep showing your passion, and just remember that the entire toolkit of poetry is just about trying to make your audience feel something. So whether that is going slow, speaking slowly, or speaking loud, or speaking quietly using rhyme, symbolism, all of that is just to reach your audience and make them see the world in you. So on behalf of all the judges, I wish you the best.
As we come to the end of the 2021 WORRRD Poetry Slam, we want to give thanks to all who made this event possible. And to do so, we invite poet Calum James.
Greetings, my name is Calum James, and we would firstly like to thank God for allowing this event to come to light and for being a resounding success. We would also like to express a heartfelt thanks to the Hunter J. Foswell Library for hosting and organizing this event and giving us poets the opportunity to display our talents and to let our voices be heard. Special thanks to Mrs. McDiarmid and the entire library team, to Mrs. Natasha McKenty, who created this wonderful set, and Mrs. Avery, who worked tirelessly with all of us and made sure we were organized and well prepared every step of the way. Thank you. To all our coaches, thank you. You took time out of your busy schedule to mentor every single one of us. Your guidance and support was inspirational, insightful, and integral to our success. What would a poetry slam be without the judges? Especially poets who form part of our literary society, astute poets themselves. Thank you. Special thanks to friends of the library and sponsors who made WORRRD 2021 possible. E-Zone, The Cell, The Trophy Center, Computer World, AC Guy, Manny's Bakery, Rituals Coffee House. Thank you. In the past, WORRRD has been an in-person event. Hosting it this year in a pandemic required a high level of creativity and innovation. To our technical crew, marketing team led by Mrs. Fannis and the support network, big up yourself. Give thanks. Members of the press, thank you for providing coverage of this event and showcasing the talent of the SALCC youth poets. To us, as young poets, we are thankful for every single accolade that you, the audience, has bestowed upon us. We've practiced, we've drilled, we've held our thrill to give you, the audience, the show that you deserve. Thank you all for viewing, and stay tuned. This is only the beginning.